Welcome. This is Thursday the 8th of October and this is Simply the Truth live with me, Doug Harris. Thanks for joining us and I hope you're going to be involved over the next 2 hours. If the pre-discussion before we got on air is anything to go about, it's going to be live. And we're really looking forward, well, I'm looking forward to it, and I hope many of you are as well. Just to remind you, if you want to know about past programs, if you want to know about future programs, if you want to know about everything that goes on, it's simplythetruth.revelationtv.com, or get onto the Revelation TV website and come down to ministries. That's the wrong one. It'll come up right in a minute. Come on to the ministries and find Simply the Truth in the programs there. And where there's no one, and we will be working for you. There's opportunity for you to find out about how you can contact our guests, what some of the issues are that we've been looking at, what we're going to look at, and to leave comment, because if you are watching the repeat or you don't have chance to leave a comment from today's show and you really wanted to, get onto the website there and leave the comment there, and we'll answer it. We'll get other people to get involved as well, and we can be interactive as far as that is concerned. Today we're going back to the second part of a program that aired much earlier on in the year in the whole area of the emerging church. And to help me is Clive Bernard. Welcome again, Clive. And
good to be back, Doug.
Yeah, it's good to see you again. It's been a while. You've been to parts far and wide, I think, since I last saw you.
Been to Africa for a couple of weeks in Nigeria and in Kenya.
You were talking to Yemi.
Great to meet the Nigerian brother. It's good.
Great. And also Barney Barron.
Afternoon, Doug.
Yeah, how you doing, sir?
Yeah, doing good. Yeah.
Good. I'm purposely not saying anything about you guys because I want you, because I know both things are happening, and you Barney changed, well, certainly emphasis since last time. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing, what God's doing in you, through you, and before we get it going.
I mean, I'm continuing to be involved as an active church planter on an estate considered an area of high deprivation near Portsmouth, where I run Cafe Church. But I'm also working part-time for Incarnate Network, who are a group of Baptistic church planters doing missional church and fresh expressions of church.
I don't think I've ever heard the term Baptistic.
Baptistic?
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
does it mean they are Baptist or they're not Baptist?
Well, they are. They have we come from a Baptist framework. In terms of our theology.
Great. And so, does that cause you to travel? I mean, are you moving around? Are you teaching in that? Are you training in that? What are you actually doing in that?
My role is as a development worker for the network. So it does involve some teaching in some of the Baptist colleges and what have you, and but really about sort of exploring how we can get the grassroots network sort of really people engaging with one another, encouraging with one another, reflecting and telling stories.
Great. And we'll find out whether it's heresy or not a little bit later on. Because this guy put you right if it is.
I'm not so sure about that one.
Clive, senior pastor of Andover Baptist Church. What's happening? What's God doing in your life?
Very exciting times in the church. Church is growing. We're seeing people come to faith, get baptised, because we're Baptistic too, obviously, and seeing people come into the centre of the family of the church. A really exciting thing is we've started an internship programme.
Right.
In other words, raising up young leaders. We call it the Joshua Challenge, raising up a whole new generation of leaders, which we'd like to open wider than the church, but we've got 5 interns. And they'll be doing lots of studies and lots of personal and character development and practical service and leadership. So it's an exciting time.
Right.
Also, getting opportunities to preach and speak in different nations, and still love serving in Bible college contexts. So pretty busy life.
And I hear you've got this cushy job of you going to Hawaii.
Well, I have the privilege of serving on the Faith and Unity Executive of the Baptist Union of Great Britain as a council member of the Baptist Union. of our 2,200 churches, and I've just been nominated and accepted to serve on the Baptist World Alliance Council. And although it's a tough cross to bear, my first appointment will be in Hawaii, in Honolulu, in 2010.
Oh, right. So there, you got a while to look forward to it.
Well, it's a 5-year post, and the next 4 years may all meet in Scunthorpe. Without wishing to offend anyone who's listening.
You've just offended half our viewers there.
I'm sorry about that, but Scunthorpe's a lovely place. So
but not quite the weather that Hawaii probably
That's
has.
the point I was making, exactly.
Yeah. Good. Okay, it's great. It's great to meet both of you again and to catch up with you. Appreciated last time. I think, as you said, we may be a little bit amazed last time that we were more in agreement than disagreement. So I've got some real dodgy questions for you this time. But can we just remind viewers, and maybe first of all, Barney, from you, what do you feel, because one of the things we were talking about before we were on air is different people have a different understanding. You use the phrase emerging church, and it means so many different things to different people. And I think we will be unpacking that as we will go along, and we will see maybe what things we feel are okay or not okay as we go through. But what would you see from your perspective the emerging church actually is? How would you define it?
It's interesting because, as you say, I think as soon as you put a label on something, people kind of have a different understanding of what that means, and therefore, in one sense, I resist the label emerging church. If you're going to put a label on what I'm doing, I prefer the term sort of missional church. But really, it's about, for me, we're going through this huge shift culturally, and we talked about how that's been accelerated by modern, our information age, the internet, television, etc. And it's actually, how the church changes in that cultural shift and what that means for the church. I think there's also, along with this kind of term postmodernity, which would be used to describe this cultural shift, there's also something that's gone along with it called post-Christendom, which really is, actually in the last 1,500 years, the state and religion have been, inherently linked. And now actually there's a secularization. I think people are more spiritual, but there's a secularization in the sense that actually people are pulling apart spirituality and the state and other institutions. And I think there's a real positive and a real opportunity in that, but it takes us into a sort of more underground subversive state, if you like.
Underground subversive. Those are going to be the headlines. This is what Barney thinks. It's an underground subversive church.
Is that not what Jesus was?
Really? Was it? Come on.
Well, I think the way the whole way that Jesus was emerging, I guess, if you like, in the sense that he was subversive. He had this underground movement of the kingdom of God that swept the sort of rug away from under the feet of the Pharisees. Yeah,
no, I see what you're saying. What, just for some of our viewers, including me, what would you define? What would your definition of subversive be? I think sometimes, again, we hear a word and we think, "Oh, that's awful." What would you describe? How would you define subversive?
I think sometimes it's that's a good question. I'm not sure. I think actually it's this not immediate, not kind of just going up against things, but actually I guess often we see there's two ways to do something, and maybe it's finding the third way. Maybe that's subversive.
That sounds good. That sounds good. How would you describe the emerging church? Subversive, underground?
Well, let me start with that word subversive, because I wouldn't use that about Jesus, but I entirely understand where Barney's coming from. I wouldn't use it because of the misunderstandings. Yeah. But if Jesus came to usher in the kingdom of God as the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, and tell us that the kingdom was at hand and he was the only way you could enter the kingdom, then he's ushering in a kingdom and teaching his disciples to pray,